So let's talk about Daredevil Born Again. This show is actually pretty incredible. It is a direct continuation from the Netflix series. They didn't reboot it or anything. They brought all the same actors back and the same grit, the same atmosphere, the same emotion. It really is very, very seamless, and it's one of the better decisions that they have made for the MCU in recent years. This show is incredible because it literally takes everything from the original Netflix series and doesn't change anything. It's the same formula, same format, same pretty much everything, just a continuation of the story. While every show has its, I guess, flaws, this one has very minimal amount of flaws. I would say the acting is a little bit under par sometimes, but for the most part the acting is absolutely incredible for a superhero show, and I really feel like it balances out the whole superhero fatigue versus just watching a show. While it is a show about Daredevil and Kingpin, or Wilson Fisk in this case, and Matt Murdock, because the show doesn't really refer to their names directly as their names. It's more mentioned in passing when they're talking about the specific person. A type of show like this is really just trying to portray the amount of darkness or the amount of corruption there is. Corruption in the cops, corruption in the villains, and I really feel like it portrays that pretty well. The psychotic nature of certain villains in the show. While it is a little rushed, and that's kind of like, I like the short episode format for seasons, but I also dislike it at the same time. I feel like 8 episodes isn't quite enough to get the story fully fleshed out, and they do have to rush some things sometimes. I feel like 13 episodes could be a little bit better. Maybe they'll make it 10 or 11 episodes from now on until they finish this arc of Daredevil. But that being said, I still think they did a pretty good job with the time they had, with the amount of episodes they had to tell the main story as well as the sub stories in the plots and everything like that. So they did bring a few characters into the MCU, which is pretty cool. There's this real effect where Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock are trying to become better, but they're tempted by so many things to just go back to their old ways. Wilson Fisk being Kingpin, going back to his old ways of being the crime boss, but in the position of mayor, and Daredevil / Matt Murdock going back to his old ways as being Daredevil. That is probably a blueprint that's in almost every superhero show, other than the MCU movies, which kind of, they're more lighthearted. I feel like Daredevil is the show that definitively does that the best. Seeing the darkness and the light inside yourself and everything like that. That whole blueprint comparison where they're trying to navigate a brighter side to themselves, but tend to be pulled back by the darkness within themselves. And so I think Daredevil Born Again, being a direct continuation from the Netflix series and them maintaining the same formula and just continuing the story, it's successful. And it goes to show that you can maintain the same beat. All the fans want is entertainment. They want to see how the original characters can be adapted into the MCU movies and how the stories compare and everything like that. Daredevil does very, very well with the original cast being in there and whatnot, and we're able to just continue to grow and love the characters that are already there. This is definitely one of the better series in the recent years, probably the best. And I'll admit, I'm a little biased. I really like Daredevil. I love Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock / Daredevil. Vincent D'Onofrio. Sorry. I love him as Wilson Fisk / Kingpin. Like, those are some of the most iconic, other than Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, those are some of the most iconic and smart decisions that the directors of this show have made to put into their respective roles. I know other people have played those roles before, but there's no other actors that I can see that can play those roles more perfectly than them. They just do it so well. And the fact that they can captivate an audience in the time frame that they have with these seasons. I can't remember how many episodes these seasons were for the Netflix series, for the original series, but I believe they were like around 10 or 11 episodes. So this being 8 was a change of pace, and honestly, I think it just left people wanting more, which I hope the second season will be at least 10 episodes. 10 episodes, I feel like, is a pretty good sweet spot. I think 11 is a little bit better. Does this mean Daredevil Born Again is the best superhero show ever made? Not necessarily. I feel like it's coming off of a pretty dead MCU at this point. And a lot of people were just looking forward to something that was good within the MCU. Although a lot of fans have just completely written off Disney and said, I'm not going to watch any of your stuff anyway. So I think it would have got more attention if the MCU maintained its proper pace and didn't get flushed down the toilet with certain things and certain shows and certain movies, and kept fans here. But unfortunately, people have just, like I said, completely written off Disney. And even though a show comes out that people might actually want, they're not there to see it because they're just kind of done. And that's an unfortunate reality for Disney right now and for the MCU. I didn't watch this until recently, I finished it maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And it came out in March. I waited, 3 full months to actually watch it, because it's as much of a fan as I am. I feel like the marketing and the hype just isn't there anymore, because they have sunk the MCU down so much that it's so underwhelming now these days. So underwhelming. There's really no balance. It's just all garbage, pretty much, for the most part. In light of that, we don't really expect anything great from Disney as far as Marvel goes. But I feel like this is not exactly a hidden gem. But I feel like this is something that can definitely put the MCU in the right direction if they play off of this the right way. I feel like Daredevil Born Again is a great stepping stone and glimpse into the future if Disney takes this and runs with it. Overall, Daredevil Born Again was a great show to watch. I loved it. I can't wait for the second season. I think people who haven't watched the MCU for a while should watch this, at the very least. People who enjoyed the series from Netflix, I feel like they're going to enjoy this one. Maybe not quite as much, but it's definitely close. It's definitely close. And there's lots of things in the show that I can definitely appreciate. There's a few things that are a little bit underwhelming, but the show really does make up for that in so many other ways. Overall, I think the show is actually pretty great, pretty excellent. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about Daredevil Born Again. Do you want a second season? And what are your thoughts on how this compares to the original Netflix series, with them actually continuing it and everything like that? So